All right, December 15th, 11:51 a.m. P.O.C. starts, I'm sorry, let me correct myself. P.O.C. does not start. P.O.C. is ceaseless. It does not ever stop or pause. I am beginning this podcast as of right now, but again, since getting up at the museum at or around 11:30, walking on to Holt Boulevard from Euclid Avenue, P.O.C. is continuous. You have third parties engaging in stalking, meaning blocking my path, being in the path, while the state is aiming its light object, that is the fake sun, directly over the museum. And as I walk from the museum, that would have been walking on Euclid Avenue as I'm exiting the museum, so I'm walking north on Euclid, that my shadow is in front of me. So this is the fake sun object behind me. As I walk on Holt Boulevard, the state's fake sun object is to the right of me. So as I'm walking east, my shadow is to my left. Okay, so this is the state adjusting its light object over me and around me as I travel. And it is, again, I'm at campus and Holt Boulevard, and the same laser treatment with what is impossible light activity. Traffic cameras are continuous as I'm traveling, and you're talking about a radius of communication devices. So this entire zone is, when you're prosecuting a public entity, this entire zone is engaging in criminal activity together. They're monitoring. And the state is engaging in flying over and amplifying the sound as they're flying over me. And this is also how you know what everyone around me is doing. The state is creating this loud, audible activity, and they are monitoring to that activity while the state's light object is literally hovering, migrating everywhere that I go. And as I completed a purchase at third-party facilitating venue Shiro's Liquor, located at 410 East Holt Boulevard, the closest street, Sultana, as a cross street in Holt. You have a third-party facilitating venue has surveillance cameras as well, including surveillance cameras inside of the plaza, B&G Plaza, Bob and George, B&G Plaza, that it is also armed with surveillance cameras. So as I am traveling on foot, you're literally getting an idea of how the criminal system is just in motion as I go. And it is systematic, all of them engaging in monitoring together, and traffic is that systematic means. In addition to my being in motion, as I just travel, crossing building, business, residents, they're all monitoring together, and this is why you have the ongoing stalking conduct, the ongoing impossible light activity, the ongoing stalking with the state's fake sun object. So I did complete a purchase at Shiro's Liquor at 11:38 a.m. And while I'm inside of this venue, what I want to note is with regard to P.O.C. The third party enters. He enters his name's quote unquote Eddie. He's on the cameras. He enters in very abruptly, goes to the register and runs out. What he's doing is crossing path. It's a very small store. But with regard to, monitoring, even if it was larger, he's still in relevant position. But he is essentially, walking through the store, walking through the center, walking to the register, and then running out. He's just engaging in crossing path, and he is monitoring while he's doing so, and he runs out. He's acting with that store owner. They're monitoring together. He's on camera seen running in. He is briefly at the register. He's aligned to me as I am looking for products or food items to purchase. This is Stalking 8 Charlie Queen Sam 777, literally just plotted across the street from me. I was just waiting until this group stalker moved to get that license plate. That's what they do all the time, listening to every word that I'm saying. She's just sitting across the street in relevant position while this laser-like treatment is occurring. She's monitoring. That's a group stalker, okay? That's a criminal monitor. She's monitoring with the state. That's P.O.C. So anyway, with regard to this third-party group stalker, Eddie, he's the one that I'm seen on camera with at the Ontario Town Square, whom I'm seen leaving that venue, and then the fire truck is right there at that intersection as I arrive, sounding sirens, crossing path at B Street, approaching Euclid. That was P.O.C. It was P.O.C. the entire time that he was driving me around, basically exposing me to monitoring as I am surrounded, just as I walk and I'm exposed to ongoing monitoring. This is exactly what's happening when you're in any vehicle, and that's what was occurring. While I'm inside of Shiro's Liquor this morning, you have him running in and running out of the store. He's just engaging in crossing path, and even the audible activity when I say his name out loud, this is all monitoring. Immediately following is another third party that is on the cameras speaking on the speakerphone. So as he is what is called patrolling, he's just walking around in the store, and what is that outward appearance? As though he's in there buying something, and that is his sole purpose. That is not his criminal motive, is monitoring, and that's what he's doing. He's using his phone on speakerphone. He's creating audible activity as he's just walking around, crossing path, monitoring with the state. As I exit, you have Ontario police engaging in crossing path at the same time that the state is engaging in directing light onto the asphalt, onto the walls. As I'm exiting P.O.C, the same group stalkers, those demon-possessed actors of the state, direct acting, that's Ontario police, license 1567671, driving, that is east on Holt Boulevard, crossing path right beside me at Sultana. So I have just exited Shiro's Liquor, P.O.C, Shiro's Liquor as I exit on the security cameras. And this is Ontario police that are going to be on on traffic cameras at that would be Plum and Holt as well. And this is third parties such as this one right here, 138 Edward 16 crossing path. That's a Nevada plate as the state is flying past at a low hovering elevation right behind Cardenas. Notice they do that everywhere, okay? That's P.O.C. That's called group stalking. And that's what is occurring right now, the plane literally hovering behind the grocery store. The same thing I've documented it doing behind B&G Plaza, hovering behind the skating rink, essentially flying right next to me. This is license plate number 6Y Paul Zebra 46 Bob. And you can document one. They're all doing the same thing. They are literally crossing path. They're passing traffic cameras on Holt. They're approaching traffic cameras at Allen and Bonneview, where I am walking. And that same impossible light activity, meaning the state using their presence as the state is directing light that is streaming, appearing to stream off of their cars onto the sidewalk, onto the brick wall, onto my person, while they're also creating audible activity. That's how you monitor. That's all three elements present. And it is absolutely impossible, never occurring from any kind of sunlight or reflection of the sun. Okay? It is literally stretching across the asphalt, stretching across the sidewalk. It is absolutely ridiculous, but this is to inform. This is how a state monitors. This is what this third-party group stalker is doing as well. Let's get this license plate. Impossible light activity 16796 yard 2. It's the same criminal conduct over and over again. 5 King Boy yard 012. Crossing path where the state is directing impossible light. They are all doing the exact same thing. The state requires their presence in order to monitor. We've got another one flying at very low elevation. I'm going to go ahead and get an image of this. Right behind Cardenas. This is the state stalking directly. This is the state engaging in impossible light activity while they're crossing path. This is group stalking, just like I captured at State and Bonneview, just like I capture right outside at Euclid and at Holt, just gathering lights because they're all monitoring. This is monitoring headquarters because this is what the state is focused on where I go. This is a group stalker standing at the bus stop. Understand, on foot, they're doing the same thing that they're doing in vehicle. This is P.O.C. All right? And this is Campus and Holt, where I'm standing at Cardenas, where the helicopter 720 Holt Boulevard. That's the address where I'm at. I'm walking on Holt Boulevard. So this is essentially where they concentrate. Let me get this license plate right here. This is 2 Paul Nancy Jack 050. This is 1476519 Municipal Utilities using their vehicles, their presence to engage in criminal monitoring, group stalking. It is P.O.C. This is why the state is hovering over here. Documented helicopters, stalking with planes, hovering behind the Cardenas grocery store. That's P.O.C. And I also want to get what is... It's not funny, it's just so pathetic. This is the state's fixed-in object directly above the Cardenas. So you notice the focus of the area where the planes are flying, right here where I'm standing, where the state's fixed-in object is, right here where I'm standing, where this impossible light activity that I'm describing to you, right here where I am standing. And you also want to note the cumulative value of documenting a state that is engaged in group stalking and monitoring. That is the ongoing conduct of... sorry, let me get my phone together. A state that is engaged in stalking with light, the cumulative value of documenting that demonic conduct. Understand it's demonic, and it's serving a criminal purpose, but it is derived from Satanism. That's a satanic practice. This weird, peculiar conduct with light. Even the the absolutely extreme. That's an outrageous and psychopath, notion to stalk with a fake sun. Where do you think of something like that? It is absolutely twisted. Okay, and this is something that a government is doing. That is, as a scientific fact, that is not any reasonable argument. That is not the sun. This is how you know what every single last one of these third parties are doing. This is demonic activity. This is criminal. And it is monitoring. Let's get another. We've got another plane hovering behind Cardenas. We've got another plane at a higher elevation as well. Their focus of their presence is where I am at. And while the state is stalking right here where I'm at, while they're driving back and forth, light streaming across the asphalt and onto the sidewalk, into the shade. So you're talking about light appearing onto the sidewalk when they're not even under the fake sun. There's shade covering it, shooting all across the brick wall. It is absolutely demonic. That's what I am exposing. These are demons driving these vehicles that are engaged in a monitoring system. This is the state of California, okay? I'm just reporting the facts. So it's P.O.C. You have multiple planes that are flying behind where I'm at, where I'm located, by the way. So let's be clear with regard to monitoring. Church's Chicken, Donut Palace. You're talking about this entire zone that spans beyond this street. Cardenas. All of them are monitoring. All of them are monitoring. That is all that the state is doing. It is using all of its resources to do so. Let me get a picture of what group stalkers do. That's group stalking. The same thing that I documented the license plate of the woman in the black vehicle just sitting across the street, and that's what she's doing. Listening to me, sitting in relevant position while you have impossible light activity, while you have the state stalking by airplanes. That's how you know exactly what this group stalker is doing. There is no exception to that. That's P.O.C. This is group stalking and monitoring. 8 Nancy 4, 8 Nancy 4, 862, 15489 Mary 2, 8 Nancy Larry Frank 288, 6 Sam Mary 916, 7 Thomas Apple 275, DFN 8208, 5 Paul Henry, 5 Paul Zebra Henry 17. They're just crossing path and they're all approaching the traffic cameras. 8 Charlie Larry 284, 80656. Victor 1, 8 Charlie Larry Wendy 927, F7 SAP 120, DAT 6 LTR, 8 Robert Edward Paul 508, 8 Larry Wendy Larry 814, 5 Jack Zebra Xavier 520, 8 Apple George Dog 207, Searing Industries 8 Dog 25290, 7 Thomas Victor Edward 609, 8 Dog Edward Xavier 585, 7 Year Larry Victor 450. And as they're driving by, okay, and honestly, they're on the opposite side of the street. These are demons because you've got that light stripping off across onto the opposite side. The address where their light is moving across the building is 730. All right, this is a closed down building, and as they're driving past, let's get this stalker's license plate. 7 Charlie Queen 132. It's a gold sedan. That's an Asian woman driving in it. She is now driving west on Holt Boulevard. And this is Omnitrans. Again, this same third-party group stalker, the state using their presence to engage in shooting light like a laser, impossible activity, while the state is literally behind me stalking in airplanes. 1 2 3 4 5 1 3. This is P.O.C. and referencing the cameras. That is P.O.C. Alrighty. That's a group stalker you also see that gets off, on and off. They're all acting. It's a seamless, ceaseless, ongoing monitoring system. Everything that they're doing is serving monitoring. Everything that they're doing while they're present. All right? And they're doing it while creating ongoing activity is created for them and is created by them. While the state is engaged in all manner of voodoo, demonic practices with light. All right? This is demonic activity. It is criminal monitoring. It is also group stalking. That is the system of group stalking. That's how that works. And that's what's in operation right now. And again, that was Ontario Police acting as a stalker just like every other third-party group stalker. And crossing path as I'm at Sultana and Holt while this impossible light activity covering the asphalt where they're driving east and west and the sun is above and somehow light is supposedly shooting off of their cars like lasers. That's why I call it that, because that's state stalking. That's monitoring conduct. That's POC, and it is also demonic activity. Understand that. It is 12:06 p.m. And again, that was Omnitrans number 1220, and that is I'm at campus in Holt. I remain there. I want to get this last license plate. That is a demon that knows I'm documenting. Actually, I'm going to actually get a few over here in Cardenas because they're monitoring. This is where the state is flying. This is how you correlate the group conduct. None of it is separate or 7 Edward Uncle Apple 814. That's audible activity using the shopping cart. Recognize that. 7 Zebra Xavier Robert 677. I already got that one. Stalking 4638 1 Thomas 1 7 King Charlie Jack 833 5 George Edward Henry 993 7 Larry Victor 433 8 Jack Uncle Sam 915. This one 6 Uncle Mary Larry 436 4 Mary Todd Daniel 054 FRZ, that's an Oregon plate. 6 Xavier Mary Charlie 443 6 Uncle Edward Xavier 238 8 Nancy Open Nancy 945. This is the group stalker that was just sitting across from me, aligned on Holt Boulevard at Donut Place while I'm standing documenting, listening to every word that I'm saying. This is a demon engaging in monitoring. That's the same one. 8 Charlie Queen Sam 777. That's another plane that's hovering behind Cardenas at 720 Holt Boulevard. 7 Victor Apple Victor 775. 6 Apple Queen Larry 572. 7 Xavier Robert Charlie 303. 5 Nancy Charlie Frank 682. 7 Jack Thomas Uncle 771. 6 Thomas Mary Robert 400. See, I don't know if I name these over here. Let me get these. 8 Jack 56462.
Yes, can I help you? What are you doing over here?
I don't know. What are they doing over here? Why are you focused on me?
Yeah, because you are talking about the plates or the license of all the stores, all the cars.
And what is that? Is that public information?
That's our private property over here.
It's public information. Why don't you worry about the airplanes flying directly behind your storefront? Worry about that. 48613 yard 2. 8 Edward Larry Jack 411. Understand he's in relevant position creating audible activity. And also this is criminal obstruction while he's monitoring. 8 Charlie Victor George 268. And you've got third parties that are just patrolling. They're walking back and forth while he's patrolling back and forth. 6 Jack Charlie 814. Go ahead and get a picture of him.
Yes, can you send a police officer over here to Cardenas, please? Yes. The address is 720 Old Boulevard.
And tell them for what?
Yes, I have somebody in the parking lot taking from the license of their customer.
Taking what?
And they are complaining on the store.
They're complaining in the store, and I'm in the parking lot. This is what Stater Brothers does. This is what they do in creating a reason to summon the police who are engaged in group stalking and monitoring, stating, what is the script? They're complaining in the store. He's lying. I haven't stepped foot in the store, and there is nothing illegal about documenting license plates. This is a group stalker, and this is criminal obstruction. This is Cardenas engaging in P.O.C. Not only group stalking and monitoring, but criminal obstruction. This is harassment and targeting, intimidation while they're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. This is 720 Holt Boulevard. He's moving this cart. Understand? Let me take a picture. This is monitoring. Audible activity. All right. And let's get this again. This is state's fake sun object. That's POC. They're going to be prosecuted for every single last one of that. All right. And that's what group stalkers do, summoning the state directly. That's called a criminal summoning. He's got a whole laundry list of what he just engaged in: criminal harassment and targeting and intimidation, criminal summoning of the entity. And again, you're also engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, intentionally creating activity focused on my activity using my phone also. 8 Larry Apple Sam 758. And that is POC. If I got all those license plates. 8 Charlie Victor. Oh, I think I got those. Okay. That's POC. If you understand again, the same criminal conduct, the same reaction, focus on my use of my phone as I'm engaging in documentation. I'm going to document your presence. I'm going to document criminal conduct, and it is absolutely required, but it's also lawful, and it's necessary where the state is the criminal. And what you note is the state, that is third parties. License 8 Sam David Apple 841. That is the state that is third parties. 17638 George 2 is summoning the state directly. while they are together engaging in criminal group stalking and monitoring. Understand how that works, okay? It is ADALIDO, so ADA Lido, P.O.C. crossing path with every other third-party group stalker. So understand that that's criminal summoning, and that is Cardenas. While you literally have every hallmark surrounding this venue, 7 Bob Igloo Paul 013, stopping in front of 730, the abandoned building. They're doing nothing but P.O.C. Stopping right next to me, creating light activity. That's P.O.C. So anyway, you have the state that's engaging in summoning the state. That's exactly what a third party is the state. Vicarious presence, vicarious conduct, and acting with the state, summoning them while they are being documented. That's all that is. It's criminal obstruction of justice. And this is how you prosecute the state of California. I literally got plane after plane behind 720. You literally have the fake sun over 720. You literally have the impossible light activity, right, on the ground repeatedly while I'm standing here in front of 720, and he is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, okay? And just so you understand, when I say relevant positioning, that's exactly what I mean. You got a group stalker right here, 730, this is a residential area, they're all monitoring. This is why the state engages in the elements that they're creating the element for, they're creating the environment for monitoring. That's what they're doing. This is, what is the name of this? I don't know if this has an important, it's a residential address actually, 730, and it is private property. This looks like it doesn't have a name on it, but it's right here beside Cardenas, where the state is hovering in these commercial airplanes. 6 Robert Jack Paul 087. I'm just naming the license plates as they're crossing past close to me. And again, as they're driving past, light shooting up onto this residential. Let me take a picture so you can see where the light is shooting up. It's shooting up onto this apartment building, just so you can see what it is absolutely impossible. This is monitoring, and that is demonic activity. While they are engaged in shooting light onto this apartment building that I just took an image of, this third party is engaged in nothing but monitoring. These are the two that were engaged in patrolling, while Cardenas is engaged in criminal summoning and threatening, while I'm documenting criminal conduct, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. This is all of that which is designed to be addressed by I.I.S. legislation and existing federal law. It exists, but it does not go far enough. You're talking about federal group stalking and monitoring, which has yet to be prosecuted and legislated. And so this is all that is designed to be addressed by it. These are the tactics that the state engages in. And by state, this employee at Cardenas is the state that is threatening. While every single hallmark is present for federal group stalking and monitoring, he is engaging in threatening and seeking to intimidate, which is criminal obstruction, while he is engaged in monitoring and group stalking. Absolutely unacceptable under federal law. You will be thoroughly prosecuted for that. That's criminal summoning, criminal harassment and targeting and intimidation. That is also federal group stalking and monitoring while you are engaging in the criminal elements. Again, you're talking about creating audible activity, monitoring me while you're engaging in criminal obstruction. Okay, monitoring doesn't stop. This is how you analyze that, all right? While you literally have light shooting all around like lasers. It is absolutely just, it's dumbfounding the criminal activity that the state is engaged in, and this is just showing you how all of that works together and how you prosecute it, because all of it is attributed to the state. He's not speaking as an individual. He's going to be prosecuted. That represents Cardenas, and this is how you separate third parties from, but all of his conduct, he is acting vicariously on behalf of the state. All right, so everything coming out of his mouth, for Mary Todd Daniel 054, I think I got that one already. Everything coming out of his face is coming out of the face of the state, on whose behalf he is group stalking and monitoring, okay? Nobody is in the store complaining. These are demons that are aware of every single word that I'm uttering. That's the reality. That's the reality of it. They are engaged in ongoing group stalking and monitoring, and they know exactly what I am doing. This is why there is a focus on me. This is why there is engaging in systematic criminal obstruction. You've got another commercial plane hovering behind. That is Southwest Airlines. Gonna go ahead and get that, okay? You want to be clear where I am. That's where the planes are. That's why they fly directly over my head while I'm inside of any venue. All right, that's how you prosecute a public entity engaged in P.O.C., and you also have them engaging in criminal obstruction, which is the P.O.C. All right, that is that which they are engaged in together. I want to get a couple more license plates. 779 Zebra Paul, that's a handicap plate. 8 King Yard Henry 676. 8 Daniel Mary Jack 101. KZM 0201. 8 AG A117. 4DZ4 199. 1565128 City of Ontario. That's the blue dumpster. I want to get HNH HHM 857. It's a little hard. It looks like the white construction paper. 8 King Bob Sam 400. 7 George 60359. Right? As he's driving, what? East on Holt. Light streaming onto the brick wall and onto the top of this apartment building. This is 730 along Holt Boulevard. Absolutely impossible light activity. All right, this is why you document one, you document all. This is what group stalkers do. This is why I have hundreds of license plates. They're all doing the same thing. 8 Apple 422. 6 Sam JY 371 06621 Y1 202 5101. There we go. 7 Henry Paul Wendy 402. 6 Wendy Nancy 986. B354 Jack O. 8 LB B240. 5 Daniel Victor Frank 635. 6 Xavier Robert Nancy 208. 8 Nancy George Charlie 417. 7 Zebra Daniel 213. 5 Edward Larry Jack 411. I might have gotten that one already. 918-2001. But they were engaged in crossing the path, so that is another act of monitoring as well. 6 Apple 43793. Bob Robert Uncle Henry 069. 6 Jack Mary Zebra 229. I can't really see that one that well. That's the group stalker. 8 Charlie Queen Sam 777. They're all group stalkers, but this is specifically the one that was engaged in sitting directly across from me, listening to every word that I'm saying, just like all the rest of them, just engaged in remaining in alignment to me on hold across the street. That's the ongoing behavioral pattern. That's blatant stalking. 8 Thomas King Zebra 504. 8 Jack Mary 559. A little too far. 7 Xavier Apple 031. 9 Frank 97526. Just want to be clear, at no time where the sun is directly above you, and be clear, the fake sun is actually to the side of these cars, and so that's not going to result in light beaming in front of the vehicles on the asphalt, stretching across the sidewalk up onto 730, the residential area. None of that. And in addition, it's also not going to result in the vehicles driving in the opposite direction. None of that whatsoever. This is common sense. This is the behavioral pattern of the state because they are using light to monitor. That's why. It is the only ways in which you can get to that extreme use of light while they're monitoring, crossing path. All three elements every time a car is passing by. 5 Larry Robert Year 841. 9 Frank 48514. 7 Larry Victor 433. 7 Nancy Igloo Jack 897. Sorry. 8 DUX 937. 8 TQR 440. 4 YTS 270. 1413 4 YN. W510EO 8 BEY 723. 8 JUS 915. 6 YNX 912. 6 ZF H 912. 6 UZL 940. 8 FMNO 76. 6 YKF 696. This is 7 UH T 776. 88-71456, United States Postal Service. This is 6YO932. If I got that quickly. I think I got that one right. 7 Larry Victor 433, but they are crossing path again. 93D 197, Nevada plates. 35964L1. 7ZVV778, 6POH981, 33339N2, 7MYE085. Okay, this is ongoing crossing a path. Omnitrans is on the opposite side at Bonneview and Allen. They're in relevant position. They're monitoring right now, by the way, where they are at, creating light activity, loitering in relevant position. They are acting constantly and doing so using those buses they're literally moving communication devices, ongoing audible activity, stalking with activity, using any means of the bus to make noise. They engage in the same demonic behavioral pattern. It's P.O.C. They are just like every other third-party group stalker. They are using the company buses to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring. 7W15890, 7TNA878, 7TNA878, yeah. 8JRC372, Omnitrans 154583861 going westbound, 7BH265, 6XOW312, 4056, 4Y1, 8KXF34. I think I got that one already, and I can't see it. Let's see, let me get a few more. 8SKM950, 4YQX384, 318, 7SAM1, 4NOY341. All right, that is literally identifying individual third-party group stalkers while they are literally like cockroaches patrolling in the Cardenas parking lot, okay? Sitting, loitering while I am, quote-unquote, focused on documenting these license plates, loitering all around me. Gyro SD, that's GIROSD, 7NEF, 436, 2213, 7K2, 9F16716. This is 19308, Zebra 2. And those are the ongoing presence of, I am in front of a residential area. Again, the state engages in creating an environment. There's a reason why they're hovering in planes. There's a reason why they are directing all this impossible light activity, because they are all monitoring together. So everyone inside of 730, this is the address number on the outside of this building, but there are several different apartments. They're all monitoring as well. Cardenas, they're all in the zone of relevant positioning. And as you see, the operation goes where I go. The helicopters, the planes go where I go. The impossible light activity, the state's fake sun object goes where I go. 7 Zebra, Mary 0002, 7 UD, oh, here we go, 1591428. That's Ontario Police number 1039. While light is shooting like a laser, driving east on Hope Boulevard, approaching the traffic cameras at Allen and Bonneview. That's POC. That is group stalking by the state directly. Stalking by the state directly by plane. Stalking by the state directly by the ongoing presence of the state's fake sun object. Stalking with light. That's POC. It is currently 12:24 p.m. And this was just to get where I am at now. This is upon leaving the museum. POC doesn't ever stop. This is just exemplifying how they engage in it. Understand that it is not just, oh, wow, that sounds really weird that light is shooting around. It's not just weird, it's demonic, okay? Demonic practices are weird, but you need to understand, and being specific, it is demonic. Every license plate that I'm reading off is just one person representing what the entire state is engaged in, because monitoring is occurring everywhere I go, and they are engaging in group demonic activity that serves the criminal purpose of monitoring with communication devices. These are literally demons using their cars, using planes, using their person, using their businesses, using their instrumentalities of any company that they have in order to engage in criminal monitoring. And every single element is a demonic element. This use of light, it is not just weird. Understand, this is satanic. It's a satanic targeting system. And every single last one that I demonstrated, they're just an example of what is ubiquitous amongst the people. You're talking about the government. You're talking about the government is the one that is targeting using third parties' planes, and also using government planes. They use a plethora of planes. They're focusing on using commercial planes, but that is the state that is stalking. They are acting vicariously and directly using planes. All right, those are demons that are openly demonstrating that demonic possession with this use of light, where light is bouncing off of your, or appearing to bounce off of your car, off of where you live. The state's fake sun object over your venue, over your where you live, over your vehicle, over where you're standing. You are engaging in POC, and that is an outward demonstration of demonic possession. I just want to be clear on that. That's relative context, and that goes for Omnitrans 1545819 crossing path, impossible light activity streaming off of the bus while they're crossing path, just like every other third party that's crossing path. And so this is the wide exposure of what is a state engaging in demonic activity. Understand that demonic activity is everywhere, and you're looking at it. Actually, this gymnastics with light did not exist and was never noticed before I started documenting the state. So once you engage in starting documenting the state, this is where they engage in what is absolutely like outrageous and ridiculous conduct in order to engage in monitoring you, and it's blatant display of their demonic activity, in addition to the fact that you are talking about a satanic system. And understand that that is intended to be a shameful secret that is not desired to be exposed whatsoever. And the more that I documented it, the more I expose it, the more they engage in demonstrating that demonic possession. And this use of light is that's what that is. And they are doing it systematically. So you have them literally driving by in traffic, okay? And you have laser light treatment. And I'm calling it laser light because that's the best way to treat it. You've got the light shooting off of their cars, spanning across the asphalt. It is absolutely ridiculous, okay? This is demonic activity, though. It's criminal monitoring. It is that of an unprecedented level of threatening conduct by a government that is acting through the people of the state. And the people of the state include the companies, okay? They are the same, the entity that through which the state is vicariously acting on with. But you have what is demonic activity, expansive demonic possession operating at the same time over a group of people. And that is, the more that I document it, the more that they demonstrate it. And that's what this is. So I want to go ahead and stress that, because every license plate that I'm documenting, I'm literally letting you know about another demon. It's personally identifying another demon. 8KAB453, 7B Sam Larry 101. That's a paper plate. That's another paper plate. That's not a coincidence. 2022, 5 Edward 2. And the papers are all shredded up, so you can't read it. That's criminal obstruction. These are demons that know they're being documented. And that's P.O.C. So you want to look at, you've got traffic sitting on the west end of Holt, traffic in motion on the east end of Holt, and then you've got a group stalker sitting in the driveway with the turn signal on, right? This is P.O.C. Understand that. This is serving the purposes of P.O.C. And then you also have the pedestrian that's walking in alignment to me. This is group stalking and monitoring. All of this is serving monitoring. While what? The state is stalking by police. The state is stalking by plane. 5 King Xavier George 046. 6Y Frank Mary 405. And what is also prefacing? This demonic activity with light and stalking with a literally fake sun. Okay? A literal fake sun object. And let me go ahead. It's 12:29. Let's get another picture of that. It has absolutely not moved. Okay, I'm taking a picture. It's right above Cardenas. All right, that's POC. This is absolutely ridiculous, and this is why I'm exposing it. And this is why not only is it incredibly threatening and an unprecedented level of criminal activity by a government, a public entity, which this is how you prosecute it, all right? Not only criminal monitoring, but you're talking about a perpetual sex offender. That is the state of California acting through more than the hundreds and hundreds of license plates that I've documented representing third parties engaging in that conduct with the state. You're talking about sexual violence on at an unquantifiable degree. That's what you're talking about. And you're talking about this by a public entity, which is capable of doing that when you're engaged in a system of group stalking and monitoring. The state of California is systematically documented engaging in sexual violence, engaging in stalking, engaging in criminal monitoring, all right? And then engaging in criminal obstruction, all the ways in which they seek to try to stop the targeted individual from documenting their criminal conduct, which it is fully aware of because it is continuously monitoring you. And this is also revealed by the ongoing aggression that it engages in, the arrival and ongoing stalking by police, which is followed by the ongoing arrival of airplanes arriving and following you everywhere that you go, hovering around. And you're talking about over 2 years now, the state stalking with airplanes, starting on December 18th, since I started documenting it, flying literally over my car day and night, following everywhere that I go, flying over and around my car everywhere that I go, beginning in Pomona, California. That is while I was in my car. This is an obsessive amount of stalking by a government, a public entity that is engaged in. And now as I speak to that relevant context, it's not just stalking. It is not just a monitoring system. It is demonic. It is demonically derived. Everything that they are doing, every element of criminal group stalking, by the way, stalking with light, stalking with activity, and stalking as an entity, each and every one of those elements are demonic. So you're talking about breaking apart that system, documenting third parties, engaging in acting with the public entity with whom they have no shelter from federal prosecution whatsoever, and also no shelter from being prosecuted and imprisoned for every act that they're engaged in. And you're talking about right here ongoing sexual violation. That is collateral to the ongoing group stalking and monitoring. And these are demons that engage in. So this is how demons act. This is how demons conduct themselves. It is intended to be secret criminal conduct, not to be known, but it is a sexual violation to be appreciated under federal law like every other touching by any other threatening stalker, because that's what they're doing. And you have no right to touch the targeted individual in any manner for any criminal purpose, moreover. And every documented third-party group stalker will be answering for more than just monitoring. They're engaged in more than one criminal act, and that is what is specifically addressed under which I advocate, which is SIIS legislation. They're not just monitoring, they're engaged in sexual violence, touching the targeted individual, and intentionally so while they're monitoring with the state that is using their presence to aim lights. For Frank Igloo Robert 925. No, you want to sit there, I'm going to document you, you better go. They're monitoring. They're like cockroaches, literally, in this parking lot. Raoul's Auto Trim, where the state's fake sun object is literally right here. 8 David Jack Bob. 8 David Jack Bob. 237. Paper plate. Bob Henry 37 Edward 72. So anyway, they use my walking pass as the opportunity to patrol around. Again, third parties act as a group. So you've got them driving in different directions. That's called patrolling. Headlights on the cars. They're monitoring here at Raoul's Auto Trim. The music in the background, audible activity. The state's fake sun object, right to my right, moving backwards with me. Remaining directly over me. This is P.O.C. Okay? Every single last one of them engaged in monitoring while I was standing at campus in Holt. Relevant positioning spans a radius. They're using communication devices. You're talking about a prosecution of an entire zone. Literally an entire zone. All of them. Everyone I don't have to get their license plate. I'm just showing that this is how you prosecute it. This is how you prosecute it. Everybody being present. This is why I document where I'm at. This is why I document those who are present where I'm at. Because it is relevant to prosecuting every single last one of them. Who they are and where they were at that time is not a mystery. And it is absolutely necessary in order to address federal group stalking and monitoring. And that's how you slice that system down and you break apart that criminal partnership, because the state relies on these group third parties. They relies on them. With their presence, they're using this demonic use of light. And it is demonic activity. It is absolutely ridiculous demonic activity. POC, I am referencing the traffic cameras at Allen and Allen and Bonneview. All right. Like I said, every third-party group stalker driving east and west on Holt Boulevard, crossing path while the state is directing light, and you are speaking to a network of communication devices just systematically engaging in stalking that is being in the path on behalf of that state. That is literally hovering in plane behind the Cardenas where I'm standing. It does not get any more clearer than that. That is POC, and you are talking about more prosecution on multiple levels. Cardenas just gained a little laundry list of federal charges, which it should have just kept its mouth shut and passive-aggressively engaged in POC, because this is documented criminal conduct, and this is how you prosecute a public entity, okay? Every word they say serves prosecution, because it not only is it monitoring, you are literally engaging in threatening the livelihood by monitoring me, and then those words that you're using to monitor me with are threats, means to intimidate while you're monitoring me. That's criminal obstruction, where there is a fact pattern of federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, it all serves a purpose under a legislation. And that was, an absurd, like I said, when I say the state's action serves to prosecute third parties and vice versa, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You have the environment, the ridiculous environment that is designed for monitoring, right? But it is absolutely ridiculous. You're talking about circus use with light. It's like absolutely, utterly asinine. I mean, not even natural. It's not even possible under any circumstances whatsoever. And this is also speaking to what third parties are doing. There's a reason why this circus light, this voodoo trickery is going on with this light. There's a reason why. There's a reason why also the ongoing fact pattern of the state stalking, flying coincidentally right behind me where I am standing. Okay, this is ongoing stalking. It is all three elements. The hallmarks of P.O.C. are present. And the state, again, at this time frame, 11:30, is east of where it's supposed to be, which is directly over the entrance at the Ontario Library. All right, that's just the recent example. I have a whole mountain of documented evidence with regard to every venue where I've been at and the state's placement of its light source, its fake sun object. And every single location are mutually exclusive to each other. This is just more of the recent. And this is why you're literally talking about engaging in conduct that is that which is a defeated entity, already knowing that it's defeated, just engaging in repeating more of the same, providing more documentation, actually prepared to set history with regard to the prosecution of a public entity engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, a new concept. Right? Prosecution of a public entity for being a stalker, a new concept. A public entity being a sex offender, a perpetual sex offender for the entirety of years that they are engaged in, monitoring an American citizen, a new concept. All right? The understanding of sexually motivated criminal monitoring. You are engaging in criminal conduct, the equivalent of physically violating, physically touching the person of that targeted individual. It is a new concept. This is P.O.C. And I'm walking on Bonneview, and this is 12:38 p.m. I want to go ahead and get a picture. The state's fake sun object directly above me where I stand. All right, and all it does is just migrates around, just keeping light aimed on me. And that is called stalking with light. That's the ongoing P.O.C. And again, you're talking about a psychopath that is listening to you document its criminal conduct. So you're not just talking about a criminal, you're not just talking about a government, which is highly threatening and it is unprecedented, but you're talking about a psychopath. Because demonic possession, understand, that is clinically referred to as a psychopath. And that psychopath influence operating over the police, we've seen that with Ontario police, but I've documented the stalking conduct by Los Angeles police, Orange County, every county where I've gone into, and I've literally gone to documented city after city after city, and the different police departments doing the same, just loitering around, stalking like cockroaches on corners and parking lots, just crossing path. That's what they're doing. Stalking. That's what stalking is when you are engaged in criminal monitoring. And this is everywhere that I go. Ontario is the most documented because I have been here engaged in documentation the longest. And they are engaged in the most egregious acts of criminal obstruction in concert with the court, San Bernardino Superior Court, and also the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. You're talking about Kara Hudson, Misha Moss, Laura Alvarez, Vanessa Rodriguez, Mohammed Reza Ronagi, Kyle Brody, Kimberly Appaloo, Shannon Faherty, the judges in the courtroom engaging in kidnapping, specifically, is Kara Hudson and Lisa Rogan. But again, Kimberly Appaloo, Kyle Brody, and all of those officers of the court engaging in that criminal abuse of the legal process, and how do they engage in criminal abuse of the legal process? By bringing a fictitious prosecution, naming a person who does not actually exist, and bringing charges that are totally false while the police were engaged in the pattern of conduct of group stalking and monitoring. And I documented it before they engaged in criminal assault and battery, and then kidnapping of my person because they had no legal right to seize me. That's a criminal seizure of my person. This is how you prosecute a state that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. All right, those are the federal charges under the fact patterns of federal group stalking and monitoring. And this is what Jason Knighton and Elkes were engaged in on January 13th. And so the case MWV 2000640, a fictitious prosecution under an F as in Frank Ramos, who does not exist. All right, this is an act of criminal obstruction upon kidnapping. And every officer of the court, every judge engaging in any capacity in that criminal abuse of the legal process is also responsible for kidnapping as well, facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring, criminally responsible for every criminal act suffered by the targeted individual that is reasonably foreseeable to occur when you're being targeted by a government and when you are subject to being kidnapped, when you're deprived of your right to prosecute that targeting entity, when you are subject to being criminally defamed and criminally seized, kept in confinement upon having no legal right to do so, and continuously engaging in the criminal abuse of the legal process. That's what the Rancho Cucamonga courthouse is engaged in. That is what they are engaged in. This is what Ontario police are engaged in while they are lining up in position on traffic cameras, on my camera, i.e. before the World Wide Web, because I put that on the internet and I'm not done spanning that across the internet, while they are flying over me in a circle, demonstrating demonic possession, demonstrating that they are the psychopath stalker that I'm documenting them as, flying over me in the helicopter at the museum in the middle of the night, sounding their sirens while they're standing still in the intersection because they're monitoring. And as soon as I turn my camera on, they turn off their sirens because they're monitoring, aware that I turned on my camera. All right? These are not the most intelligent whatsoever. They are merely criminals, and they are all operating under a satanic influence that is desperately engaged in an ongoing stalking. And this circus that I'm continuously documenting, understand it is absolutely satanic. Absolutely satanic. And so that is just a brief on P.O.C. When I say demonic, that's what I mean. 416 South Bonneview Avenue, Ontario, California, Olivia's Auto Body. Demonic activity, the blinking light inside in front of the building. It's the middle of the day. And as I turn around and focus on that building, the light starts blinking. So anyway, Ron's Auto Upholstery, 414 South Bonneview. 412 Olivia's Auto Body, South Bonneview. 410 Super Mario Welding, Bonneview Avenue, Ontario, California. All of them, I'm just giving you an idea where I'm at. They're all monitoring together. The state engaging in ongoing laser-like treatment as they're driving past on Bonneview. The state's fake sun object is directly above. And again, that fake sun is not the cause of that light that is trailing on the sidewalk and on the grass and on the building from their cars. That's the state directing light at the same time that these group stalkers, that is demons, are crossing paths. That's the criminal cooperation, criminal partnership, and that's monitoring. They're all monitoring together, so I'm just giving you an idea where I'm at. This is P.O.C. I have arrived at third-party facilitating venue, Mercy House, where they are monitoring me inside of that venue. And as I documented last night, hundreds and hundreds of them just crossing path as they are monitoring ceaselessly inside and outside. Okay? It's 12:44 p.m. and so the state wants to give another example. We'll go ahead and take that. Hovering in plane directly over the Mercy House. Flying directly over. And let's be clear, that's not why the sound is amplified inside of Mercy House. They engage in amplification everywhere. That's the instrument of monitoring, by the way. They're engaged in hovering over the Mercy House right now at 435 South Bonneview, a commercial-sized plane engaged in flying at low elevation, essentially directly next to me right now while I'm standing at the corner of Washington and Bonneview. That it had a blue tail and some white writing on it. I was not able to capture an image of that. This is while the state's light object is right outside. That's P.O.C. There's no question about monitoring ongoing at Mercy House and monitoring ongoing everywhere that I go with the same conduct at yet another venue. That's P.O.C. of federal group stalking and monitoring. It is 12:45 p.m. P.O.C. is continuous. And again, you're talking about demonic activity, and so they're all jointly, they're all listening to me and are all focused on me, just like this one over here at 420, staring directly at me. Okay, I'm not yelling, I'm on my phone talking, and they know exactly what I'm talking about because I know what they're doing and they know what I'm doing. While planes are hovering over and a fake sun is directly over their address. Okay, this is P.O.C. And this is at third-party facilitating venue 435 South Bonneview, Mercy House, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring on their facility cameras, outwardly appearing as though they're engaging in homeless services and providing a food pantry and clothing, while ongoing elements of monitoring remain present, acting in concert with the state. Everything that they're doing, entering and exiting, remaining, all audible activity, visible activity, while they're engaged in ceaseless monitoring, which is the pattern of conduct everywhere you go. Everything's serving that monitoring purpose. That's POC. Are you talking to me? Oh, I'm at third-party facilitating video Mercy House. That's POC. It is 12:47 p.m. Seven DEP. That's Daniel Edward Paul 687. 8 Charlie Jack Robert 513. 8 Bob George Wendy 185. 6 Robert Bob Charlie 257. 8 Bob Henry George 899. 8 Jack Henry Xavier 600. Alright, so this is the group stalker that comes down the street because I have not walked out onto Bonneview. So he comes down onto State. He's using the truck to create audible activity. The State is literally right now above in plane. This is light and audible. 18606 Xavier 2 Cornell Quality Tools. That's group stalking and monitoring using their company trucks for federal group stalking. Acting in concert with the line of traffic. This is POC. Okay? We've got the plane directly above my head. And I just captured another plane flying directly over the venue in relevant position, the same exact POC. We are capturing how a government engages in obsessive demonic stalking because they are monitoring. And they are also monitoring while they are aware that you are documenting them. That is the psychopath. All right, it is 4:24 p.m. Group stalkers. Just loitering in relevant position, that's what that is. And it is the same with the line of traffic. That's what this is. So this BYOB Cornell Quality Tools doing the same thing that Castro Tools was doing, creating light activity using their vehicles to do so. The same thing that Ontario police were doing behind the railroad tracks yesterday, creating light activity while they patrol. This is federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, I am still at third-party facilitating venue 435 South Bonneview. All right, and this is the prosecution of the state of California. This is in violation of 18 U.S.C. section 42.8. This is called federal stalking, where they are using means of interstate commerce, and that is communication devices, where you engage in this theme of light everywhere that I go. They're abiding by the same identical behavioral pattern. You have this third party that is in relevant position. They place items like their vehicle in a position whereby they can anticipate crossing path at some time in the future. This is a third party engaged in group stalking yesterday on December 14th. He's doing the same right now. The same license plate 8TOE307. We'll go ahead and take an image of that. That is engaging in relevant positioning, audible activity, visible activity, light activity, acting in concert with Cornwell Quality Tools, acting in concert with the group stalkers that line in traffic. This entire zone is engaged in monitoring beyond Bonneview and Washington. That's the side street that I'm on. But this is an example. That's why I stayed here in front of the driveway and waiting for a group stalker to go out of their way to come to me, because the anticipation is that I would go out to the street, start walking on Bonneview. So I stay here, and as is the pattern of conduct, you've got one that comes to me. He comes close, creating light activity. This is called loitering. This is called stalking with light. This is called stalking on behalf of the state vicariously. Who is monitoring with this activity? Okay, this is how the state monitors you. All right, this is a group stalker. All right, this is demonic activity also. You're looking at this demonic use of light in the form of what you look at every single day, using a vehicle. They're using it for criminal purposes. Also understand that it is demonically derived. All right, you also have the same venue 416 Olivia's Auto Upholstery, I believe, or Auto Care. That address, the blinking building light, demonic use of light. This is a demonic theme accompanying an ongoing pattern of criminal group stalking and monitoring. That is the state using the train for audible activity, just as while I was inside of the venue, vibrating inside of the room, while the state is present by Ontario Police, parking in relevant position, entering inside of the building, criminal summoning by Mercy House, who was engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, bringing the targeting entity to the same location as the targeted individual while monitoring is ongoing. That vibration, that shaking vibration of the room, that's called sensational activity. Ontario Police coming in close proximity to my location for the purpose of monitoring, and that is what you call intentional malicious conduct. That's how demons engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, by the way. That is P.O.C. It is on the cameras of the venue. It is also captured in images, which I will upload to accompany this podcast. I'm just going through a brief. I'm going to expound further on P.O.C. as it was underway, the way in which they engage in the details behind the ways they engage in the criminal elements of monitoring. And you're talking about the same exact tools. You're talking about a different face doing the same exact thing. Okay, you're talking about that same demonic spirit over the same group of people, different faces. Okay, so you're getting beyond that. You're opening your mind, understanding that it is group conduct. It is a system that is not ceaseless. It is a system that is operating vicariously through the people on a constant basis. It is a demonic system that is operating and its influence over that same group of people at the same time. That's P.O.C. So let me be clear about what's visibly occurring. As the train is passing by, the state directs its fake sun object. This creates light activity while they're all present around. This is how you monitor. Okay? That's P.O.C. It is 4:28 p.m. And I am going to head back. That is license plate 8 Henry Thomas Bob 282, doing the same thing. They're all just patrolling back and forth, taking their turns to come and create activity, using their vehicles for light, and also using their vehicles as they're moving around. That's called just creeping around like a cockroach. They're just moving around. That's called relevant positioning. You do the same thing with your person. They're just using a car to do it. They're monitoring. All right? And they do this as a group. You literally have one come get the car, another one comes to get the car, another one comes in down on the street and patrols in the street and parks it in the center, creating light activity as the same conduct occurring. They're just patrolling, remaining present in the path. This is stalking, right? When you are prosecuting federal group stalking and monitoring, that is stalking. That's what I'm documenting, and this is how they do it. And this is how they do it systematically. It's 4:29 p.m. And that is P.O.C. I will upload more details and speak further about P.O.C. by group stalkers at Mercy House at 435 South Bonneview. 4:29 p.m. All right, P.O.C. with regard to third-party facilitating venue, Mercy House, located at 435 South Bonneview in Ontario, California. The venue that I walked to today, where I also documented via my podcast the pattern of conduct in process, in ceaseless process, as I'm speaking, with all manner of circus-like light activity bouncing off of the walls and the asphalt, as I was speaking to it in real time, standing at Cardenas and proceeding to the intersection of Allen and Bonneview at Holt Boulevard, where I did also reference the traffic cameras, as I stated, which are additional means of documentation, as I am engaging in all manner of documentation and publishing documentation. This all serves the purpose of prosecuting the public entity, that is the state of California, that is engaged in a system of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is in direct violation of federal legislation. That is 18 U.S.C. Section 42A, where you are engaged in a pattern of conduct, and engaging in that pattern of conduct, you are using a means of interstate commerce, and the state is engaged in what is called federal stalking under federal law, and they are using all manner of interstate commerce. Not only are they using planes and trains and cars and the roadways and highways, they are using the internet. They are also using communication devices, and that is the monitoring system that is group stalking. So this is ongoing real-time documentation of that, and I just want to expound upon what the third-party group stalkers inside of Mercy House, and again, inside of Mercy House, they're not acting just as that. They're not acting as individuals. They are not acting alone in that office. They are of the same group of third parties acting with the state vicariously to keep me monitored, to engage in that criminal monitoring system. This is just ongoing documentation, ongoing evidence of the state's system, the state's criminal monitoring system that is in ceaseless operation, that is absolutely unhindered and continuing at every single place and at all times, even when subject to kidnapping the targeted individual and placing them in jail, which is a state facilitating venue where you have no communication devices, and the state is engaged in ceaseless monitoring and group stalking even inside of that venue where they have kidnapped your person and absolutely taken your liberty. This speaks to the psychopath that is that invisible demonic influence operating over this group. Let me be clear, as I've stated before, it is ongoing relevant context, and so as I continue to expound upon and illustrate what the criminal elements of federal group stalking and monitoring look like in everyday life, I am also going to continue to point out the relevant context with regard to the fact that this is a satanic system that is in operation, and that satanic influence operating over a group of people at the same time, engaging in ongoing coordinated cooperative criminal conduct. This is where you have that identical behavioral pattern, not only abiding by the criminal elements of monitoring, but you are talking about abiding by a specific and peculiar behavioral pattern of using inanimate objects to create what is any manner of activity at the drop of a dime, because it is based on what the targeted individual is doing. Literally, the targeted individual is the leader. I mean, it is the essence of stalking, because it is based on what the targeted individual does, based on what the targeted individual is saying, or where they're looking, whatever it is that they're doing. That is the basis upon which everyone, because it is a group system, a group stalking system whereby they are monitoring, are basing what they are doing and when they are doing it, and even how they are doing it. And so this is why it's called relevant positioning. They are positioned relevant to that targeted individual. And this is why it's called stalking with light, because the state is literally following and remaining with its light sources in all manner, directly using its own means of putting literally a light source in the sky and moving that light source wherever the target individual is located, and directing light onto the surfaces in and around whatever venue that the target individual is located, but also stalking with light vicariously as third-party group stalkers engage in that same conduct, meaning as they are following you around and they are following as a group. They are not separated by their identity, by different names. They are one. So Sally Joe and Michael and Ann and Joseph are the same entity. Understand that. And this is what needs to be understood, the legal concept of what federal group stalking is. They are not separate. Sally Joe and Joseph are not two separate stalkers. Sally Joe and Joseph are both vicariously stalking with the state. They both represent the state. Under the law, they are the same entity. That's how this works, okay? They are present on behalf of the stalker, that is the state of California. That is the government that is stalking you, because they are monitoring you. And every person engaging, including Sally Joe and Joseph and Michael and Ann, are present on behalf of that criminal entity that is operating that system, okay? And not only that, Sally Joe and Michael and Ann and Joseph are all demon-possessed. They are psychopaths, abiding by the same behavioral pattern, meaning able to hear inaudible movements that you make, able to hear your bodily functions, able to be aware of and create any kind of noise and or visible activity and be in your path at the drop of a dime with simultaneity to your changing your eye focus, something as subtle and minor and inaudible to the human ear as that. That is demonic. Okay, and that's the demonic influence operating over Sally Joe and Michael and Ann and Joseph. And that's what needs to be understood. They are not separate identities. They are one. Okay, and this is being able to wrap your mind around that concept. This is what the government designed maliciously. And this is what is supposed to be that which is never actually to be really understood or expounded upon, but when you have spent a profoundly long amount of time looking at, peculiar conduct. So peculiar, I had to document it. And then I had to go to a different place and make sure that it's happening not just in one place. Maybe these people are just weird. Maybe it's just the city. Maybe it's just the culture here. I don't know. Okay, I literally went from place to place, and you're talking about the same identical behavioral patterns. Okay, and then noticing even down to the detail of this stalking with activity, meaning I'm always hearing noise even when I'm just shifting my eye focus. And this is a pattern. This isn't just happening once in a blue moon. You notice when there's always something that you're hearing every time you make a move, every time you move your arm, every time you move your big toe, every time you look in a different direction, or you start staring, or you start daydreaming, or you suddenly move. And a lot of times you might move your body and you're not even aware that you're moving your body, but you'll hear a noise and it reminds you, oh yeah, I just moved. And this is continuously happening. You become aware of that. It is a pattern. I am pointing out what they are doing. It is monitoring conduct, but also it is demonic. That is a demonic feature where they are capable of the demon without looking at you. And again, that demon is invisible. And a demon doesn't have to look at you. And so there's so many false premises upon which that this state system was designed, and that it basically designed to never be detected, never be prosecuted, never be exposed. And that is because it is largely rooted in demonic conduct. Okay, so there is a level of discernment that is required, but even in having that discernment, what I am aiming at is it is fully capable of being understood and recognized and prosecuted, even if, without that discernment, because you are able to recognize it by the conduct. And so I have connected that outward external conduct and the malicious conduct designed to try to deceive the onlooker and recognizing the criminal elements that remain present. Okay, and that malicious conduct, that is the demonic activity. Okay, this is a satanic system, and it is designed to appear outwardly as one thing when they are engaged in group satanic targeting of an American citizen. That's what it is. All right. And this is a psychopath. And when I'm speaking a psychopath, when I'm referring to a group, because you are talking about one satanic spirit operating over a group, including the police, including the same demonic spirit operating over the persons flying the planes that are stalking in helicopter, that are stalking in fire trucks, that are stalking in ambulance, that are stalking, driving FedEx and UPS and Omnitrans, that same satanic influence operating over a vast group of people. You are not engaging in the system, but for being under that demonic influence. And I have stated that before, and that is a broad statement, and I understand that. And it is the case. It is that exclusive. It is that absolute. You are not coincidentally engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring and not being aware of it. And you are not doing so ignorantly. You are not doing so coincidentally. You are not doing so idly. You are not doing so accidentally or while you are not aware of it otherwise. There's any way that you want to phrase that. It is a satanic system, and engagement in those elements is the outward demonstration of demonic possession, and for purposes of prosecuting a public entity and every third-party group stalker acting vicariously on behalf and in concert with that public entity. You're talking about, with regard to prosecution and punishment, you're talking about psychopath. Because that is what it is. That is exactly what it is. You are looking at the behavioral pattern. You are looking at the mindset of one engaging in that conduct, and systematically and repeatedly, when you consider the real-time knowledge that they have while they're engaging in that criminal system, the level of obsessive, hovering, paranoid conduct that is necessarily involved in this sort of system, that is a psychopath. I am not mincing words, and I am not being hyperbolic. That is literally the case. And you are, not you, but what I am saying is you in general, you that are listening, you that are learning about federal group stalking and monitoring, I am saying, and being able to expose that to you, you need to understand it is not different. In the same way, the law treats everyone equally. Let's be clear on that. The law treats everyone equally. Those who are in positions of power presuppose and assume, and falsely, to their own detriment and to the detriment of many who are acting with that entity, who have no shelter by that entity. The entity is already prosecuted, and every single last one of them the same. Okay, and this is how you break down that system. So it's not just a matter of prosecuting. I am being absolutely thorough to the nth degree. They are criminals and they are psychopaths. And this is what I am prescribing, is the fact that they need to be put in straight jackets. This is the exposure of closet psychopaths. And you're talking about a vast amount of them. It is a state system, and they are abiding by the same identical behavioral pattern, and the system is demonic. Okay, so I am pointing out the elements as they exist. It is criminal. It is an unprecedented level of criminal conduct by a government. And it is a government and operation of a demonic system, and that in concert with, and it is by necessity. The state cannot engage in monitoring system without the people of that state. It's relying on their presence. Okay, so not only am I demonstrating in my ongoing documentation and that evidence of that, you are looking at how it is literally impracticable for the state to be able to engage in monitoring and being present and making sure that there is this obsessive presence in the path at all times without the people of the state. At all times, even when you cannot physically see someone, I am surrounded at all times. At all times. All right. The state can't do that by itself. And not only physically surrounding you, understand group stalking. Group stalking and monitoring is a monitoring system. They're monitoring with communication devices. So what this means is they're not only physically surrounding you, you are always surrounded with activity. This is why the state is amplifying the sound of a train in the background. That's amplification of sound. They are turning up the volume so that it can be heard where I am located at the Ontario Town Square. That's called amplification. That's how they monitor you in the bathroom as well. Amplification into whatever location, whatever space you're at. They're surrounding you with activity. That is audible activity. They are surrounding you physically. That's the stalking by entity. They are surrounding you with light. It's all manner of stalking. And that is absolutely demonic. Every single element. Okay, and you have a vast people engaging in this system of surrounding together. All right? And so with regard to Mercy House, it's just another third-party facilitating venue. It is another example of the ceaseless system. It is another illustration of how you can be outwardly looking as though you can literally appear to be doing whatever. It is legally irrelevant because the criminal elements of monitoring always exist. And everything that they are doing is prefaced by the ongoing stalking by the state, the actual stalker, on whose behalf they are acting, on whose behalf they are facilitating that system. And Mercy House today, what I want to expound upon are the criminal acts that they engage in under I.I.S. legislation, which is designed to address every criminal tactic of a public entity engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. Today, Mercy House engaged in documented criminal conduct. While the state is, again, stalking with its light object directly over this venue, captured in pictures, and also the state is repeatedly flying over the venue, also captured in pictures and captured in video, which I will provide together with this podcast. Mercy House, which is the state vicariously, but let me be precise. The Mercy House are third-party group stalkers, and they were engaged in the federal violation of criminal obstruction by criminal summoning of the targeting entity. That is, they called in the Ontario police, and they were physically present. And it not only is it P.O.C, understand that, but summoning the targeting entity to the same location as the targeted individual is called criminal summoning. It is criminal facilitation. It is enabling. It is providing a form for the direct presence, the close presence of the targeting entity to the targeted individual's location. It is also a communication of a threat by the state and the third-party group stalkers who are aware that you are documenting them. Okay, it is so you're talking about multiple violations of federal law that they engaged in. This is documented on their cameras. This is documented as I captured image. It is P.O.C with regard to all elements being present. And this is let me see, I have the time that I noted this while I'm sitting literally in the office at 1:25 p.m. Ontario police officer, a black male. He is parked on Washington, I believe. That's the side street of Bonneview where where the gate is for the entrance. He's parked in the middle of the street, in relevant position to me where I'm sitting inside, okay? So he's in relevant position. He enters in the office at the same time the train is in motion. This is sensational. This is audible and light activity. The state aims its fake sunlight, its impossible light activity onto the venue, inside of the venue, as I demonstrated yesterday, December 14th, 2020. That movement, that is demonic light activity inside. It literally is creeping and crawling around onto all the surfaces. That's demonic activity. That's stalking with light. Okay, that's that creepy. It is the personification of the stalker, literally, just via light. That's how much the state is stalking, slithering around, creeping around, wanting to be as close as possible, wanting to touch you. That's exactly how it is an excellent illustration of the state, because that's as much of a hovering stalker that the state is. Ontario Police, where I'm at right now, crossing paths, listening to every word, psychopaths, straight up stalkers. Okay, hovering cockroach stalkers, criminals, psychopaths. I mean, weirdos. All right. And this is documentation. I mean, I am literally just literally at this point. It's already established. I am literally just breaking down what does federal stalking and federal group stalking and monitoring look like. Because it's one thing to say here are the elements, and that's understandable. But I want you to understand that it is an entirely malicious system. And then once you understand that, there is nothing that they can engage in externally whereby you're not able to deduce what is actually occurring. And that's my goal, because it is built on this false premise. If they somehow seek to establish some legitimate presence, there's no monitoring going on, and you can doubt what this target individual. No, that it is absolutely legally irrelevant. Okay, you're talking about the identity of the threatening entity that is a government acting with the people of the state. And in addition to that, you're engaging in monitoring with communication devices. The nature of the crime in and of itself is speaking to that which is going to be existing through everything that you're doing. Everything that you're doing is going to create some manner of activity, especially when you're acting as a group. Okay, there is no explanation for ongoing stalking by aircraft and police and fire and ambulance everywhere that you go, including audibly. They're stalking with their sirens. They are psychopaths, and they continue to provide that ongoing direct evidence against themselves. And do you know why they do that? Because they are scared to death. They're terrified, and this demonic entity operating over them makes the most idiotic decisions when it's scared. Okay, because it has been entitled through the I want to say entity, but let me use a different word, through the people, the vessels, we'll say, vessels of darkness in the courts, the vessels of darkness on the police force, and entitled to this assumption of legitimacy. And I have snatched all of that, because I am speaking to that which is an entirely malicious system. So you are not working with all of these false premises, all of these false presuppositions. We're going to work with what are the elements of monitoring, and you're going to see how in everything that you're saying, even when you're harassing me, you are engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. And this is by a government fully capable of doing so, fully documented, engaged in ongoing stalking for years now. There is no explanation for it. In addition to absolute strangers abiding by an identical behavioral pattern, which is entirely creepy. You're talking about an invisible spirit operating over a group of people. It is demonic activity. And that has so many implications with regard to a government that is prosecuted as a stalker, as a sex offender, as a psychopath. And these are the implications of this being attributed to a government engaged in this. So anyway, Mercy House engaged in summoning the police. And let's go back. What did Cardenas do today? Engaging in the same pattern of conduct. This is criminal obstruction, where the target individual is engaged in documenting, reporting, and in any way exposing the public entity for engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, threatening to call or actually calling and having no legal right to do so. The target individual is engaged in no violation of any law. They're engaging in documentation. And again, it is not a mystery. You're talking about, they know, because you are being monitored, they know exactly what you're doing. So this is criminal obstruction of justice. You're going to be prosecuted for that. I'm not going to raise my voice. I just mean that with every fiber of my being, because you are talking about the ultimate in bullying by a government, and I am not having it. Okay, federal legislation shall mandate you want to engage in that criminal conduct, and then on top of that, try to threaten, everything coming out of a third-party group stalker's face is coming out of the face of the government. Like I stated earlier, that is the state that is threatening you. That is the state that is threatening to come by the police, who are the very ones that are stalking and monitoring you and kidnapping you. Okay? No, you're not going to do that. SIIS legislation is designed to address all of that. And that will be a ferocious prosecution. I'm not playing with that. Zero tolerance for all of this criminal activity that the state has been engaged in for a very long time. For a very long time. Okay? So that's just it's not what I want to bring to your attention is the fact that it's not a coincidence also. These are just details, and this is based on my familiarity with how much of a coward and how they engage in this malicious conduct. It's not a coincidence that Cardenas threatens to call the police, having no right to, while every single hallmark is like blaring out while you're talking about threatening to call the stalkers. You're stalking and monitoring me, and you're threatening to call the stalkers to my to this location on me while you're it is the ultimate in hypocrisy and just absurdity. This is why it's going to be a matter of a prosecution in federal court. So it's not a coincidence that Cardenas engaged in making that threat, which again was audible activity, while the fake SIM was directly over 720, which is Cardenas, the third-party facilitating venue, while the state was hovering in commercial airplanes, one after another, which was right in alignment to me. Okay, the state was literally pacing back and forth in airplanes over right at eyesight behind Cardenas, where I'm standing in front of Cardenas. Okay. All of this, all hallmarks present while he's threatening to call the police on me. And then how does he try to make an argument for why? Oh, because the customers are complaining. And my documentation, my podcast, if you go ahead and run it back, I'm standing on the sidewalk documenting license plates as they're crossing pass on the street. And also while they're driving in and out of the driveway at Cardenas. And then in the parking lot, while I'm walking through the parking lot holding a phone, and I could be talking about anything, you're talking about the ongoing focus of me because they're monitoring me. They know exactly what I am doing. Okay? So, like I said, the good thing is that common sense is not thrown to the wayside in a court of law, let alone a federal court of law. And so you are everything that they are doing. And who is doing it? The government. And what are they aware of while they're doing it? All of this goes to prosecution. All of it goes to prosecution, and that will be a mighty one. A mighty one. That is the state that's engaging in that threatening conduct, and it's not a coincidence that he engages in making this threat, and then the police show up at another third-party facilitating venue. Right? No, the police don't speak to me. No, they're here for some ostensibly other purpose to address third-party group stalkers who are there appearing on camera like they're about some of them, and all they're doing is monitoring. That's not a coincidence. They found a way to summon the police into my presence and doing so malicious. These are demons engaged in highly malicious criminal conduct. Let's be clear. They are monitoring. And so let's point out P.O.C. as it was occurring. Again, that was 1:28 p.m. I'm sorry, 1:25 p.m. Both on the cameras inside of that venue and as I'm documenting in my own manner, taking my notes while I'm sitting inside, just observing P.O.C., just documenting third-party group stalkers, which are demon-possessed criminals, psychopaths, and diligently trying to act as though they are normal, and they're not, and they know that I am documenting them. That is the psychopath. I mean, whew. Anyway, so with regard to that, the police are present, and the older white woman, or her name is Gail. She's a group stalker. She's a criminal. She's engaged. She and all the rest of them are engaged in criminal summoning. Okay, this is a violation of federal law, and you will be prosecuted for it. Not only is it criminal facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring, it is a direct act, which is in violation of federal law. That shall be the mandate. When you are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, you're literally summoning them, welcoming them to come. That's going to be a violation of federal law for any purpose. I don't care if someone is dying. It does not matter. It does not matter, because you know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because you are talking about a highly malicious system. And so you're talking about an entity that is engaged in a highly malicious system. So you, a government that is highly resourceful and capable of desperate enough to try to use its resources to create an outward appearance of legitimate reason for the ongoing, what is stalking presence of the state. There is no form whereby it will be legitimate. If it in any way facilitates and enables the ongoing threat to the life, physical safety, and overall well-being of the targeted individual by the ongoing occurrence of federal group stalking and monitoring with communication devices, that is criminal summoning, for which you will be severely prosecuted. And that's what they engaged in, and this is documented conduct. Ontario Police presence summoned by this third-party group stalker, where they are undoubtedly monitoring me with the state. I mean, the hallmarks of monitoring present. This is also, understand, not only is that criminal summoning, it is criminal facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is also reasonably construed as a criminal threat, criminal harassment, criminal intimidation by the third parties and the state directly. Okay, you are prosecuting them separately. They are the state, the public entity is going to face its own prosecution, and you document everyone acting with that state. Okay, and they cannot shelter each other whatsoever, and so that's what. That's how that law works. That's how that would function. And that's what they engaged in today while they are monitoring me. And this is entirely intentional and malicious conduct. Okay, so I just want to be clear. And you're just stripping all of that down. And whether there is some, this is entirely intentional and malicious conduct, which I'm aware of, which is established through documentation. And even so, it is absolutely enabling and facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring, period. And so we don't even have to get into an argument about, oh no, it's not intentional. We really did have somebody at the museum who needed, and the police needed to come to my office first for me to tell them that, even though I could have told them that on the phone, and he didn't need to stop in for 2 seconds while the train was sounding and impossible light activity was shooting inside of and onto the, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was P.O.C., made an appearance, communicated a threat, found a way to be present in my path, visibly for me to see. This is all intentional. It's intentional. It is the same behavioral pattern. It is P.O.C., okay? And it is also the same obsessive stalking conduct by that entity. While what? He doesn't even look at me. He, meaning the police. And like I said, a demon does not have to look at you or speak to you. It is entirely focused on you, even to the degree of knowing what you're looking at, when you're looking at it, listening to your bodily functions, okay? So you're looking at demonic activity on the venue cameras at Mercy House, 435 South Bonneview. That was P.O.C. That was criminal summoning. That was criminal facilitation. And that was criminal harassment, targeting, and or intimidation while you are monitoring the targeted individual. Okay. And in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 42A, but also that which I fully intend to prosecute and enforce against the state of California, and every documented third-party group stalkers so generously just handing over, just pouring over their identity, their documentation, which I don't need. I am making a point. I am advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual to understand how I did it. And so you can understand how you can, because the state is not going to give you your right in court. This is why it is a federal case, first of all. This is why it is federal question. A federal court has jurisdiction over it, okay? It is inherently that which is a matter of federal question, and it is also with regard to the fact that they are using communication devices in all manner of interstate commerce, using for monitoring purposes. And so, anyway, this is how you document. This is how you do it. And I'm just giving an elaborate example of how, even when you are kidnapped, you are still documenting. Everywhere you go, you are documenting. And this is necessarily so because you are talking about a state, the entire state, against that targeted individual. Targeted individual does not have any friends, does not have any family. Okay? It's a demonic system where you are, for whatever reason, however that is selected and chosen, I'm not going to delve into that. But you're whoever you refer to as family, they're third-party group stalkers. They're monitoring you. And the moment that you become aware, they start exacting that P.O.C. with regard to criminal obstruction. Criminal obstruction starts immediately. Okay, and they've been monitoring you the whole time. Once you become privy to it, you become a threat. Criminal obstruction begins immediately, and that is the defamation. That is criminal defamation. Okay, so you document everything. Documentation with regard to how you prosecute a public entity. And under I.I.S. legislation, the targeted individual is fully empowered to do so. You do not have to be a legal scholar. I am establishing all of that, which all you have to do is submit the documentation, because I have literally documented every manner of criminal obstruction that the ordinary targeted individual is likely to encounter. And exposing scenarios of what federal group stalking and monitoring looks like. You might not even know that you're being monitored. Okay. So anyway, ongoing POC at Mercy House. So let's go through that. That is planes flying directly over the venue. And again, as the state is monitoring, real-time monitoring, knowing when I'm getting up. So you've got the state flying over, stalking with activity. At the same time I engage in making any movement, especially touching my communication devices, turning one on, using it or whatever. Like, for instance, if I turn on my Bluetooth or if I turn on Wi-Fi, something like that, they're monitoring. And so with simultaneity to my movement, activity, or any change thereof, that is a legal definition. Stalking with activity occurs with simultaneity. A method of activity is the amplification of the sound of the planes. They are amplifying the sound of the planes. Okay, they're flying over and they are amplifying the sound into the room. Okay, so that is serving the purpose of everybody inside is monitoring me. Everyone around in relevant position is monitoring me. And this is how you monitor with communication devices. So with regard to the ongoing stalking by plane flying directly over the venue, planes are continuous. And what I noted at 3:27 p.m. Was the amplified activity into that room, Mercy House, where I was sitting, and surrounded by the personnel and the patrons. That is, the supposedly homeless people. Where they live or where they don't live is really irrelevant. They're engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring, acting in sync with the planes as they're flying over the venue. Okay, as the state is directing impossible light activity in a different location. Again, the impossible light activity targeted on where I'm sitting inside of the room. Okay, and that is at 3:27. As I did capture pictures of the plane flying over. Now, I've already documented this. The state is flying directly over my head in a Delta airline plane, flying directly over my head in Alaska Airlines and Southwest Airlines planes, at the same location where I'm sitting. So if I'm sitting on the bench against that building, they're flying over my head there. If I'm standing at the fountain, at the water fountain, they're flying over my head there. It is extremely targeted where they are locating and flying over. Okay, this is already documented that they're flying over, and then they're also using different kind of planes. They use the small planes that are even flying at a higher elevation, and they amplify the sound louder. Okay, this is how you know they're just literally, it sounds like they're playing a record of the sound of a plane engine. They're just turning the volume all the way up, and using all manner of different planes. But today over the venue at Mercy House specifically, it was the commercial planes that I heard, that I captured pictures of, and occurring with simultaneity to my documenting their license plate, occurring with simultaneity to my using my phones inside of the venue. And so not only are they aware of my documentation, and I am using their cameras. Let's be clear, all of the personnel inside of the building, they know that I'm using the cameras. They're literally watching me and aware that I am documenting them on the camera. So let's be clear on that. Okay, there's no ignorance there. Everything that they are doing, they are acting informed. In addition to that demonic feature, even capable of listening to bodily functions and that which is inaudible. Like, they can hear them if I put my hand in my bag and move my index finger. They can hear that and create activity. That's how I know they can hear it, because they're constantly stalking with activity to what is inaudible activity to the human ear. How did you hear that? And I know you heard it because you're abiding by that same pattern of stalking with activity, meaning immediately following with any kind of noise at the same time that I'm engaging in the most minute, subtle gestures and movements. All right, that's demonic. Okay, and that is the psychopath. Okay, those are psychopaths inside of Mercy House. They know exactly that. They know I am documenting them. They know that that I am using my camera and they know all of that, just like everybody else. So I'm just going to be clear. There's no ignorance there. They know exactly what is going on, and they know that I know exactly what's going on. So it's literally just an ongoing, for me, it's not, I mean, you're talking about that which I understand to be of a spiritual context. And there is no formidable adversary there. And the case is already done. This is that which was never expected to ever even be able to come up with legislation to legally address a system like this, to even be able to construe what is going on. Do you understand? It's already done. Okay. And that is the defeat in and of itself, period. Okay. So you're talking about just an ongoing futile, born out of just pure arrogance, which they don't even have any grounds to. You're talking about a bunch of cowards who feel strong together. Okay. They need each other. Okay. They are terrified creatures, really. They're cockroaches in the spirit. All right. And they are terrified. They need each other. This is that group conduct. Demons act in packs. Demons are weaklings. And I am talking about the police. That's why you see them packed together in the middle of Euclid and Holt, calling themselves, they're engaging in nothing but monitoring, but that is also the communication of a threat to the one who has documented and prosecuted them. And it was an exposition of cowardice. It was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic, but we're going to legally analyze that because I'm advocating on behalf of the ordinary targeted individual, and you don't get to engage in anything like that without answering severely under federal law. Okay? That has legal consequences what they engaged in. You're talking about their identity, the government, inherently threatening, okay? Aware that you're documenting them, intentionally creating this presence in this activity, intentionally communicating the entire time. Oh, you don't get to do that. No, you don't get to do that. Not without answering severely under federal law, you don't. Okay? And so, anyway, just with regard to just speaking to these, the criminal activity that Mercy House was engaged in and what are the implications of it? What does that mean? And so I'm breaking down, not only is it P.O.C, the train was in motion, it was amplified, literally vibrating the room, okay, audible activity as the door is opening and closing, as the police officer is walking in and out, as he's remaining inside, he's in relevant position while the train is in motion, vibrating the room, impossible light activity, aimed onto the building. It's right outside over the venue, aiming inside of the venue. All manner of activity is occurring. This is monitoring while they are in relevant position. And the police have come close in order to monitor. This is the communication of a threat while they're monitoring, being summoned by a third-party group stalker who was monitoring with them. And for in whatever purpose and reason they have externally, it is legally irrelevant. Monitoring is the central concern. Everything is subservient to that. There is no form. There is no claim of legitimacy. You are talking about the superseding interest, and that is the targeted individual and a government that's engaged in that criminal activity. Let me tell you what the basic goal of legislation is. When a government's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, basically, you better get out of town. And you better do it quietly, because in any way that you are facilitating, you are going to be prosecuted and or be in federal prison in straitjackets. That is the ultimate goal, because you are in no way to be facilitating a government engaging in that. That's how you're breaking that system down. A government's going to have to do it. They're going to have to stalk you by themselves, meaning the police officers and the firemen. They're going to have to get out in their uniforms and stalk you by themselves, because they're acting through the people of the state. And legislation is designed to break that down. There is nothing you can claim that you can claim you're delivering mail, you can claim you're washing cars, you can claim you're working at the bank, you can claim you're baking donuts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that is where the government is doing harm to American society. Because a government engaging in that, it is an ultimate disruption to the lives of everyone around. That is literally what has to happen. Right? That's literally what has to happen. And any facilitation is fully subject to prosecution to the nth degree under federal law. Severe prosecution. Okay? Monitoring with the government is no small matter whatsoever. It's no small thing. It's an unprecedented level of criminal activity of a threatening nature, never addressed under any kind of legislation, never prosecuted. And so it is severely serious, and it's going to force that public entity to act on its own, because otherwise you're going to suffer with that entity and by means of prosecution. And neither one, third parties nor that public entity, can protect each other from that federal prosecution, right? And that's the purpose of legislation that needs to be enacted that I am advocating. SIIS legislation, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, designed to address what is demonically, maliciously designed criminal monitoring system. They're monitoring with communication devices, and it is demonic activity, outwardly designed to appear, maliciously designed to appear as one thing, and it is criminal monitoring. And this is by the officers of the court, every judge, the police officers wearing badges, deputies in the jails, medical workers operating with the court system, with the jail system, okay? And every single person, every third party acting in the state. It is an expansive system. That demonic influence operating over that same group of people, that demonic influence operating over the government. That's what inspires this, and this is what keeps it in operation. And they are abiding by 3 criminal elements that remain present at all times. The first element of criminal monitoring is light, any kind of light. Group stalking is a monitoring system, monitoring with communication devices, and light is always present, any kind of light, any kind of light. The second element is activity, and activity is audible, activity is visible, and or sensational, like vibration, shaking, rumbling. Okay? And the third element for criminal monitoring is relevant positioning, and that is the group stalking. The state that is monitoring you is necessarily stalking you, and it is doing so in concert with the people of that state, who as a group maintain presence in the targeted individual's path, which is how you monitor. You have to be around them. You have to keep them surrounded at all times in order to monitor them. Okay? And that's called stalking by entity. All right? And the entity is stalking directly: police, fire, ambulance, helicopter, airplanes, and vicariously the people of the state of California. All right? And that is the P.O.C. So I have pictures and video to accompany this podcast. I did make a note, let's see, just that planes were continuously over the venue, impossible light activity, right? So even as traffic is crossing, and when you're looking at traffic, you're not looking at one car after another. You're literally looking at a group that is pacing back and forth in both directions. Understand that. It's crossing path. That's demonic pacing back and forth in a vehicle. Okay? You're opening your mind to see what demonic activity looks like and how it is normalized into a digestible appearance for the everyday person that has no idea what they're actually looking at. It's the same demonic relevant positioning conduct. It's keeping you surrounded. And they're doing it in a vehicle, the same thing that the demonically possessed government actors are doing in the planes and in the helicopter, okay? All right? So as they're engaging in driving on Bondview, crossing path, creating ongoing activity, aware of what I'm doing, they're all monitoring together. It's a whole operation, all right? They're all acting inside of Mercy House, acting with traffic. Right? They're all monitoring together while the state is flying over. It is an ongoing demonic system of ongoing constant monitoring, right? And so as they're driving past, there's ongoing light activity. This is why the state directs light, because they're crossing path and light activity is accompanying that. So as the train is passing, impossible light activity, just blinking light on the asphalt, on the building, especially and the state is engaging in moving it around based on where I'm located. So it's occurring outside as I am outside documenting, and then as I'm inside, it's occurring across the window, okay, or spanning into the room wherever I'm seated at. They're targeting that light. They're directing that light. Okay, this is why you use things such as a fake sun in directing light in that manner. This is how you engage in monitoring. And that's what the state is doing. That honk is based on my moving my hand in a new manner. That's called stalking with activity while they are in traffic, okay? All right? Monitoring. That's all they're doing. So it's 8:01 p.m. I'm going to stop now. I just wanted to go ahead and speak to my notes with regard to POC at Mercy House. It is a third-party facilitating venue. All elements are present, and all the hallmarks. The state literally flying over me, just like I document at every other venue. All right? Every other venue. Today is December 15th, 2020, and so there are video and pictures to accompany this podcast. And so I just want to go on. My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and my podcast is called the P.O.C, and it is called the P.O.C because it is speaking to the pattern of conduct of the public entity that is the state of California that is in operation of a criminal monitoring system. It is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is in violation of currently existing federal law, 18 U.S.C. section 42A, because the state is monitoring with communication devices while also using other means of interstate commerce, including airplanes, helicopters, using instrumentalities of interstate commerce, using cars and trucks, and using the streets and the freeways, using the internet, okay, and also using communication devices. This is how they're monitoring. And this is also that which is needful of federal legislation that I have written, literally, while I was kidnapped in jail, literally. I wrote a little bit of it before, as I have been subject to ongoing POC, and all the ways in which the state is engaging in that conduct, that criminal system, directly and vicariously, and also while subject to that ongoing kidnapping as of September 25th and released on December 4th. I wrote majority of that federal legislation, which I fully intend to enforce against the state of California and every third-party group stalker, specifically documented acting with that entity and vicariously representing that entity. That is federal law called Systematic Infliction of Inhumane Suffering, SIIS. Federal legislation that is designed to address every criminal and demonic, that is malicious, tactic of a public entity engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring with communication devices. And so this is the purpose of my podcast. It is serving the purpose of documentation, which is to serve the ultimate prosecution of the state of California, which is a new concept. The state of California is engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a perpetual sex offender. It is enabling of sexual violence by the third parties of that state. Okay, so the state is not only directly engaging in it, it is engaged in criminal facilitation of that egregious criminal conduct. The state is engaged in ongoing criminal facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring. The state is engaged in what is all manner of criminal obstruction of justice, so acting continuously with full knowledge of the fact that the target individual is documenting them, which is more than reasonably construed as knowledge of that and the communication of a desire for it to stop. The targeted individual is not ignorant about what is going on. They are fully aware. They are taking action to defend their own rights, to enforce their own rights. And so this speaks to the criminal conduct of the state. In addition to the criminal elements of monitoring, there is a satanic origin with regard to each and every element. The ways that the state engages in those elements, understand it is demonically derived. Their use of light, it is demonic at its origin. Their use of acting as a group to stalk and monitor, that is of the demonic, okay? This ongoing stalking, the following, ongoing use of activity in any manner, especially with inanimate objects, that is of the demonic, okay? This is that which is the outward demonstration of demonic possession as any engage in POC, and you have a public entity engaging in POC in concert with the people of the state. And so the implications of that with regard to prosecution and punishment is not sufficient for federal prison. SIIS is designed to address the necessary punishment of that public entity and every third-party group stalker, and that is that they are clinically defined as psychopaths engaging in severely malicious conduct, and they need to be put in straitjackets upon prosecution. And this is based on the conduct that is documented, the evidence against them, and the mindset, the real-time knowledge of what they had while they engaged in that criminal conduct, the intent to continue that criminal conduct, and the level, the degree to which they engaged in that. And as a group, there are so many levels of demented group activity that is revealed with regard to what this public entity is engaged in, and that includes the people of the state. The people of the state of California are vicariously representing that entity. So that's what I'm speaking of when I say right now the entity. And so it is an entirely disturbing system that is criminal, but it is also satanic. And that satanic influence is clinically defined as psychopathic, and that needs to be clear. That's relevant context, okay? And that is with regard to punishment upon prosecution, federal prosecution of that public entity. So it is currently right now, I'm going to wrap up my podcast. My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer. I am on social media. My podcast is on Anchor, but there are many other, podcasts where, many other areas or platforms where you can access my podcast, but I am on Anchor, and I also post my documentation or publish my documentation and my podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and I have both a Facebook profile and a Facebook page, and with regard to TikTok as well and Tumblr. P.O.C. is continuous, and so I am engaged in not only documenting but also publishing, and so the state is engaged in ongoing criminal obstruction, and so you're talking about an entity that knows full well it's being documented, and everything that it does, this is what I mean, everything that it does is just serving to further intensify that inevitable conclusion of its own criminal activity. But it's speaking to ongoing knowledge, and the state, with regard to specifically publishing, it exerts an ongoing effort to try to obstruct my ability to publish it. Regardless, I continue to repeat, and I will repeat because it needs to be understood. The POC is ceaseless. So even if you don't see a post from a current day, like when I was kidnapped and I was placed in jail illegally as of September 25th, POC is continuous, and it was continuous. And while I was illegally confined in West Valley Jail, okay, you literally see the psychopaths wearing deputy badges, wearing inmate uniforms, and wearing badges working as medical workers, criminals, sexual predators, sex offenders, and stalkers. Literally. That's by legal definition. That's exactly what they are. And kidnappers. That's exactly what they were engaged in. And maliciously so. What you saw on the cameras inside of the facility is in great contrast to what they were saying and doing to me that the cameras cannot hear. Okay? And are not aware of. But that is to be addressed. That is a part of the state's prosecution. That is a state facilitating venue. Those are demons. The same demonic influence operating over them. That is demonic activity. It is malicious. Okay? That's what that is. Anyway, 8:10 p.m. Erica Lorraine Spencer, and that is the POC.